who leads Chris Collinsworth at the Link in Philadelphia.
Here on NFL Network, Quentin Demps back deep. Knuckleball kick that'll roll through to Demps. He returned 100 yards last week. This time he gets to the 30 before he's dropped on the play. So we take a look at the starting offense for the Philadelphia Eagles, and quarterback Donovan McNabb, 6 interceptions in his last 3 games. Brian Westbrook averaging only 4 yards a carry. He's been hampered by injuries. Kevin Curtis back from a sports hernia, 21 catches on the season. The rookie Deshaun Jackson, a big play threat. The offensive line, they have veteran tackles in Trey Thomas and John Runyon in his 13th year out of Michigan. So Philadelphia starts 1st and 10 with Westbrook in a one-back set. McNabb on the season at 59% to throw on first down. Nice safe throw. Jason Avant picks up about 5 of the play as we take a look at the Arizona Cardinals starting defense, and they can get pressure up front. Brian Robinson's had a good year. Darnell Dockett with 3 sacks on the season. Very good active linebacking core. Chike O'Keefer, Gerald Hayes, and Carlos Dansby. Dansby with 83 tackles on the season. Ralph Brown in for the injured Roderick Hood, the former Philadelphia Eagle. And the safeties are good ones with Adrian Wilson and Antrell Roll. McNabb will work out of the shotgun on a 2nd and 5. Westbrook has a first down up to the 42-yard line. It's a gain of 7.
Well, for the Philadelphia Eagles, kind of a nice start for them. Your quarterback Donovan McNabb, who has been completing less than 50% of his passes over the last 3 games, which is never good for a West Coast quarterback, comes out and hits one. And then Brian Westbrook, who we were told before the game, he feels pretty good. Well, he hasn't been feeling very good lately in this season, so that's also a good sign for the Eagles.
Yeah, when we talked with him on Tuesday, he talked about the high ankle sprain and the knee problems he's had. On a 1st and 10, here's Westbrook again up to the 45. Picks up 3. Chike O'Keefer on the tackle. But boy, Brian Westbrook is really the engine to this offense, isn't he, Chris? When he's healthy and right, this offense can be unstoppable at times.
Yeah, and you know, you talk about Donovan McNabb, and he's been the focal point of this football team for so long. But if you've watched the Eagles over the years, you know that that young man right there, Brian Westbrook, is the guy that makes it go. How many times have we seen screen passes or punt returns or big runs or whatever the case? He can make everything that's wrong right with this Eagles offense when he gets it going.
And the Eagles like to pass the football, and they empty the backfield out on a 2nd and 7 for McNabb. Plenty of time. Avant again, first down. Rogers Cromartie on the tackle. Chris, what about, taking some pressure off McNabb as far as what you do in the passing game?
Well, I think you're seeing it already. The last few weeks we've seen Donovan taking a lot of shots down the field trying to come up with a big play. Well, that's not really the essence of the West Coast offense. The West Coast offense, as it's run by Andy Reid, is you're supposed to complete a high percentage. Go back to the days of Bill Walsh. The running game is essentially your passing game, and they're going to throw the ball about 60% of the time in this game, so McNabb has to complete a high percentage.
All right, they work out of a traditional eye, but McNabb will throw under pressure, a little screen to Basket, gets a block on the edge, and Basket run out at about the 41-yard line. Looked like the left guard Todd Harriman sprung him for a few extra yards. So even in a traditional eye, they throw.
Yeah, and I think Marty Mornhinweg's doing a great job calling plays thus far in this one. You've got a quarterback who, by his own admission, is in one of the worst slumps of his life, making more negative plays than he can ever remember. You come out, what do? A couple of dinks, a couple of dunks, a little screen pass. All of a sudden now he's got a perfect night going, and he's starting to feel pretty good about himself.
Marty Mornhinweg in his 3rd year as offensive coordinator. Westbrook dips near the first down marker, cut down short at the 37, about a yard short. Antrell Roll, the 4th-year pro out of Miami, on the tackle.
One of the things that I brought up with the Philadelphia Eagles, and they typically are not a football team that runs the ball a lot, but they are an NFC East football team, and they're playing against a team coming in from the West who traditionally NFC East teams can run the ball. I think we'll see a little more running tonight out of the Eagles than we typically do.
Kyle Eckel comes in a 2-back set. Eckel has a first down. 2nd-year man out of Navy, signed on October the 21st, and he says, I'm not going down.
Not going down, but you listen to the crowd, I kind of have to laugh a little bit. If you followed the Eagles at all this season, you know 3rd and 1 has been the death of this franchise this year. And as they convert a simple 3rd and 1, the crowd goes berserk.
Yeah, Kyle Eckel was born in South Philadelphia, so playing for the hometown Eagles, pretty good moment for him. You see the 3rd down conversions. Teams in the NFL hit it at about 66%. So good drive for Philadelphia, which started at their own 30. 1st and 10, the Arizona 35. McNabb with some pressure. McNabb finds the edge and makes something out of nothing and picks up a couple. That's a change, Chris, in his game from earlier in his career.
There's no question about it. I used to talk to defensive coordinators all the time when we'd come in to do a game. And you say, okay, what's your number one concern? And almost every one of them would say Donovan McNabb running the football, because we can defend their running game. We can defend their passing game. He doesn't always hit a high percentage of his passes. The thing we could never stop was him running the football. But McNabb has sort of stopped doing it on his own, and I think it's hurt his game.
2nd and 8, he picked up 2 on the play. Westbrook, the tailback in the eye. Westbrook squeezes through a hole. Westbrook has a 1st down to the 24-yard line. That's the old Brian Westbrook, isn't it, Chris?
It really was, and he showed great patience on that one. Dan Klecko, the fullback, the former defensive tackle, watch this block. He gets late. Westbrook's going to sit there and just wait, and then Klecko comes in and gets the block, and he shoots it right through. It's kind of entertaining to see a fullback that also has 2 sacks on the season leading the way for Brian Westbrook.
Dan Klecko, the son of former Jet great Joe Klecko, a 3-time Pro Bowler, who made the Pro Bowl in 3 different positions on the defensive line. So on a 1st and 10 for the 24, McNabb checks down. Curtis, he dives down to the 11-yard line. It's another 1st down. Gain of 14. Boy, Chris, it's been a while. They're getting closer to that end zone.
Yeah, 21 consecutive drives without scoring a touchdown, and this is an offense that has simply made a lot of mistakes, but we're seeing a lot out of them tonight. Not only running the football, Donovan running the football, the rollout, moving the pocket, a very wide assortment of plays thus far in this one.
All right, McNabb has split out wide to the right. Deshaun Jackson, who has 13 rushes this season, will take the direct snap. Jackson to the 5-yard line, and he's knocked down there. Deshaun Jackson has a rushing touchdown this season, and it happened a couple Sunday nights ago against New York.
Well, we've seen the Wildcat offense everywhere in the National Football League. You don't see your smallish wide receiver very often, though, taking it in between the guards and running that way. But I think for the Philadelphia Eagles, they're throwing out everything they have in the playbook tonight. They understand for them to stay in the race, for them to stay alive this season, they have to win this football game.
12th play of the drive coming up for Philadelphia. Westbrook and Klecko in a split back set. Little shovel pass to Westbrook, and he's in for the touchdown. Great 70-yard drive for Philadelphia. And Donovan McNabb needed that in the worst of ways. His 15th passing touchdown of the season. So a 70-yard drive for the Eagles. McNabb to Westbrook. 7:04 on the clock, and Philadelphia out to a 7-0 lead as David Akers bangs home the extra point. Well, Brian Westbrook took the shovel pass. Good blocking up front. And McNabb says thank you. A lead for the Eagles. Philadelphia, then the shovel pass to Brian Westbrook and the touchdown. 7:04 on the clock for Philadelphia. Boy, well executed by the Eagles. Akers on the kickoff. J.J. Arrington from his own 6. Arrington had a 55-yard return last week, but he's stood up and dropped at the 24-yard line by Sean Considine. Well, the Eagles hope they can feast tonight against Kurt Warner and the Cardinals.
Defensive time for the Eagles.
Brian Westbrook and the Eagles with a 7-0 lead against Kurt Warner and the Arizona Cardinals. Warner with 21 touchdown passes this season. Tim Hightower dragged down from behind by Chris Gokong. He'll lose a yard as we look at the starting offense of the Arizona Cardinals and Kurt Warner. 5 consecutive 300-yard passing games. That is the second best streak in NFL history. Hightower, the rookie out of Richmond, has been a key contributor. Anquan Bolden, 73 catches. Larry Fitzgerald, 72. The strength of the offensive line, the left side with Mike Gandy and Reggie Wells. 2nd and 11 for Warner and the Cardinals. Checks down underneath. Bolden tripped up by Quentin Demps. Short of the first down marker at the 29-yard line. So they get about 5 of it back.
Well, we saw the Arizona Cardinals come out and give it the obligatory 1 run in the first drive and say, okay, that didn't work. Let's put the ball back in the hands of Kurt Warner. You know, they have so many guys that were back with that Pittsburgh Steelers offense, and they want to pound the ball, but they know their best chance is with Kurt Warner and these 2 great receivers.
3rd and 5 for Warner and the Cardinals as they try to answer the Philadelphia score. Warner with time. Warner to the sideline, and what a catch by Steve Breston. Bolden and Fitzgerald get a lot of the pub, but Breston, the second-year man out of Michigan, having a great year.
Well, let me just tell you this. If you haven't seen the Arizona Cardinals play very much, you're going to be in for a lot of these kind of catches tonight. I think that this group as a team probably catches the football as well as any team I have seen in a long, long time. And Breston is the 3rd of those. Fitzgerald and Bolden are just sensational catching the football.
Gain of 17. Hightower trying to bounce it outside, shut down by Quentin Michael and Stuart Bradley as we take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles starting defense. Up front, Jaquay Parker's had a great year. 5 sacks and 63 tackles. The tackles are Stout and Bunkley and Patterson. Good young linebacking core. Akeem Jordan has been inserted into the starting lineup for Omar Gaither. And with Asante Samuel out in the secondary, Rogelio Hansen gets the start at one of the corners. Loss of 3, 2nd and 13. Bolden in motion. Warner nearly intercepted, and it is. Rogelio Hansen off the deflection gets the turnover. Bradley had a chance, couldn't convert, but Hansen gets his first sack of the season.
I was just about to talk about what a huge loss Asante Samuel was going to be in this game, trying to defend these great receivers, and then his replacement, Rogelio Hansen, comes up with the interception. Kurt Warner tries to drop this one in over the top to Fitzgerald, but the tip pass was the difference. So many times Kurt Warner tries to just throw the ball high enough to allow his receivers to go up and make a play. That time just not enough height on the ball.
And for Hansen, not only his first pick of the season, the first pick of his 4-year career.
And he's keeping it.
So after a 70-yard drive, now McNabb and the Eagles have a short field from the 41 of Arizona. Westbrook stood up and drilled in the hole by the middle linebacker, Gerald Hayes. There's Asante Samuel, who suffered a neck injury last week, suffered a stinger in the football game, and out for tonight. Didn't practice at all this week.
It was a bizarre play too. It just he sort of broke down on one of the receivers and just wasn't expecting. Guy came into him and ended up hurting himself a little bit. But I tell you, Asante Samuel, watch him on tape. That guy breaks on the football like I haven't seen in a while.
2nd and 5. Westbrook with some blockers. First down and more. Shakes off the tackle of Francisco and picks up some extra yards. 16 on the carry.
Well, I just wonder how much longer the Arizona Cardinals are going to be able to stay defensively with this nickel defense that they're playing. Typically, when you're playing against the Philadelphia Eagles, you really want to make sure you're strong against their passing game because they only run the ball about 40% of the time. There's the defensive coordinator, Clancy Pendergast. But so far, that hasn't worked. The run has been the difference in this one.
Yeah, and if you let the Eagles get a running game going,
oh boy,
open up the entire playbook. Jackson in motion. Westbrook skips through a big hole, gets a block from Curtis, and takes it inside the 5 before tackled by Francisco. 17 more for Westbrook.
I gotta tell you, I'm a little stunned because we watched them against the Giants a week ago, and what were they doing? They had Adrian Wilson up there. They were playing big against the run, 8, 9 men at the line of scrimmage. They've come out against Philadelphia and allowed Brian Westbrook to run crazy. I mean, they're basically playing a deep shell coverage back there, and they're just running right through them.
And after the end of the play, a personal foul call against Arizona, so they'll put the ball just inside the 2-yard line. So the Arizona Cardinals, with a chance to win the division, on their own, find themselves down 7-0. Westbrook in, second touchdown for Westbrook. He's got one receiving and one running, and Philadelphia has put a stamp on this one early.
It's still a pretty soft look here. You've got some pretty soft gaps inside, as again the Eagles are going with that spread formation and just simply running the football out of it. I know this is atypical, but believe me, until you start dropping Adrian Wilson or Antrell Roll down in that box, they're just going to run it all night.
Akers for the extra point. It was Roll who committed the personal foul, and Roll who got rolled over by Westbrook. Eagles up by 14.
On the field again.
And for Westbrook, only the second time in his career that he scored 2 first-quarter touchdowns.
A little different look on the face of Donovan McNabb standing over there with the parka on after 2 touchdowns as opposed to last week in Baltimore.
One of the low points of his career last week. Arrington with a crease, tripped up as he got to the 35-yard line. So Kurt Warner, who was picked off on the Cardinals' first possession, will try to dig out of this 14-0 hole. For Arizona, 14-0 Eagles. For Warner, it was his 9th pick of the year. Run it with Hightower up to about the 38-yard line. We talked with Kurt Warner yesterday when they got in, Chris, and he said it was an advantage, he thought at least, playing the Giants last week, and now Philadelphia 4 days later, because Steve Spagnuolo comes, the defensive coordinator from New York, comes from the Eagles and Jim Johnson style of defense.
Yeah, not much of an advantage so far. It's 14-0 out there. But for Kurt Warner, what an interesting trip it's been. I mean, certainly with Matt Leinart being essentially named the starting quarterback coming into this season, for him to battle back, win the job, and now be in the hunt for the MVP this year, pretty amazing.
Warner on the pump fake, looking for Fitzgerald, who could not reel it in. Lito Shepard on the coverage.
Well, one of the things the Philadelphia Eagles and Jim Johnson are always going to try and do against Kurt Warner is get some hits on him, because they have had success in the past getting turnovers from Kurt Warner. They already have one on the interception. That time he was hit just as he threw the football. Of course, Warner has a history of fumbling the ball under pressure. Has lost 6 already this season.
So 3rd and 6 for Warner. Has some time, fastball high, intercepted by Quentin Michael. His 3rd pick of the year. And Michael run out of bounds at the 44-yard line. 2 possessions, 2 interceptions by Kurt Warner. Well, Ken Wisenhunt and the Cardinals turning it over. Quentin Michael with a pick. Ocelio Hansen with one earlier. High and off the fingertips. Easy one for Michael.
You're going to see all the way across the line of scrimmage, man underneath coverage. Kurt Warner under pressure is going to have to try and throw it high. It goes off the hands of Urban, and Quentin Michael comes up with it.
Last time Warner threw 2 first-quarter interceptions, 2001, as a member of the Rams against New England. Meanwhile, McNabb is 5 for 5. Make it 6 for 6 as Deshaun Jackson makes the catch at the 39-yard line. Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie on the tackle.
And for Donovan McNabb, this has been some start. One of the things that the Eagles wanted to do today was get away from rotating so many wide receivers in the game. They simply felt like that McNabb wasn't getting any timing with these guys. So tonight it's going to be predominantly Kevin Curtis, Deshaun Jackson, and then they'll roll other people in based on formation. But those two guys are the starters now.
Yeah, the odd man out is Reggie Brown, as McNabb on a second down is going to get sacked at the 47-yard line. Cheeky O'Keefer and Antonio Smith got there to get the hit on McNabb.
Well, one of the problems you have is when you have a fullback who used to be a defensive tackle, number 49 Dan Klecko, trying to block in space. He does a better job of getting there in space than blocking in space. That time O'Keefer goes right around him, and that was a mismatch.
Klecko's been on the other side of the ledger this year. He's got 2 sacks.
Yeah, not bad for a fullback.
3rd and 13 for McNabb. Skips it to Jackson. And they're booing already.
Yeah, maybe his first incompletion on the night, and he gets the boo birds. And, you know, the funny thing is, if you see it from where I see it, that time Jackson was covered on the play. McNabb said, all right, I'm going to throw it low and away. If he happens to get there, fine. But on 3rd and 13, I'm not throwing an interception after what I've been going through. It actually was a pretty good play.
Sav Rocca to punt. He's got that reverse spin, breast and a fair catch at the Arizona 12-yard line. Well, NFL Play 60, the league's youth health and fitness campaign, is committed to fighting childhood obesity by getting kids active for 60 minutes a day. Learn more and donate by logging on to NFL.com/play60. One of the great initiatives that the National Football League has started, getting kids active, getting them up and playing, getting them involved in sports, any kind of activity. And you can find out more going to NFL.com/play60.
I'm going to guess there are a couple of adults that need to play 60 after Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, no kidding. After our meal last night,
it was good.
Need to play about 120. Hightower on a first down picks up about 1.5 yards. Quentin Michael and Trent Cole on the tackle. Chike O'Keefer split a sack. Travis LeBoy. Cardinals trying to get a line defensively. You know, Mike Patterson was involved in the middle of that last running play for Philadelphia. As you take a look at the plays so far, 19 offensive plays for the Eagles. Saw him in the hallway as they were coming out. I can't imagine trying to run at Mike Patterson.
Or run around him, for that matter. It's just hard to get around him in the hallway.
2nd and 8 with 30 seconds to go here in the first. It's been all Philadelphia. Warner, Hightower, cornered and dropped. Hansen slowed his progression, and then help came in. Akeem Jordan closed on the ball nicely.
Well, what we've seen so far is the Philadelphia Eagles have completely taken away the running game of the Arizona Cardinals, and it's going to all be on Kurt Warner as we go forward. But this is a team that's averaging almost 30 points a game. They are fully capable of doing it.
All Philadelphia. The Eagles have been flying. Warner picked off twice. Good start for Donovan McNabb. Philadelphia by 14 after 1.
And that's what the Bears would need.
Arrington will not get the first down. Quentin Michael had it read perfectly.
Well, sometimes you're in man coverage and it helps you in the passing game. Sometimes you're in man coverage and it helps you in the running game. Quentin Michael right here is going to come up in man coverage and make the play because he's simply chasing the man he's supposed to be covering. Yeah, they're going to throw it to him. I got him. You're going to hand it to him. I got him too.
Quentin Michael's done a nice job for the Eagles. Remember, Michael Lewis signed a free agent deal with San Francisco. Sean Considine last year was the starter. Johnson just got it off to Sean Jackson. Explosive. Jackson trying to find the wide side of the field and then just covers it up at the 40-yard line.
Well, it has been a great night thus far for Donovan McNabb. Just a few days after being benched in Baltimore, we've seen the full repertoire. Not only throwing the football, high completion percentage, running, getting out of the pocket, on the move. Looks very accurate, and really we thought coming in the absolutely perfect weather that we have here tonight in Philadelphia probably favored Arizona with the way they throw the football. But it has certainly awakened Donovan McNabb in this Philadelphia offense. But again, I say you don't want to allow Brian Westbrook to run wild. The better option is try and take him away and let Donovan beat you.
On a 1st and 10, Westbrook in the one-back set. Westbrook gets a block. Westbrook grabbed down by Francisco after a nice gain on the play. Picked up 7.
Well, for people that don't see a lot of Brian Westbrook, this is what he's capable of. But clearly the Cardinals have come in here thus far tonight anticipating Donovan McNabb having the greater of the two roles, and they don't have enough people up. They've got a great player in Adrian Wilson, who's almost a linebacker-like guy who plays around the line of scrimmage, can help with that. I think you have to take your chances with these Eagles receivers. They're not that talented.
2nd and 3 for McNabb. Wilson, number 24, creeps up at the line. Westbrook fights for the first down yardage. Might be just a hair short. Bertrand Berry on the tackle. Westbrook's 10th carry already for 70 yards. And it is a first down.
Well, you look at some of the great backs in the history of the league as far as highest yards per play from scrimmage, and Greg Pruitt and Brian Westbrook and Jim Brown right there at the top of that list. This season, however, because of some of the injuries to Westbrook, his numbers don't nearly approach that. But as we talked to some coaches on the field before the game, they were all smiling saying, I heard Westbrook feels good. He says he feels good. They were excited.
Got a little spring in his step, and he showed it. 71 yards officially. McNabb to the sideline, and a nice diving catch at the 30-yard line by Hank Baskett. Well, you know, that's the other thing about McNabb's recent slump. He needs some help from people.
You know, in talking to Donovan, he said, I came into this season thinking I'm going to do what a lot of quarterbacks do. I'm going to give my guys a chance to make plays. I'm going to throw it up in jump ball situations when it's a tie down the field. Give my guys a chance, and it hasn't always worked out so well.
Gives Westbrook another chance, and Westbrook picks up about 3.5 on the play. You know, one of the problems that they've had, L.J. Smith, the tight end, has had a case of the drops. They've had a lot of drop passes this year. They've had, you know, Westbrook being banged up a little bit. The offensive line is getting a little bit older. You know, the quarterback sometimes gets a lot more blame than he deserves.
Well, last couple of weeks he's earned the blame. I mean, let's face it, he did. But I also think one of the issues they've had is at the tight end position, just blocking. L.J. Smith, Brent Selleck, two guys that not too bad catching the football, but when they have to line up and play a little smash mouth, that's not really the strength of their game.
And remember, they're missing Sean Andrews, their 2-time Pro Bowl right guard. This time it's Lorenzo Booker, and he dives ahead for a first down. Booker acquired in a trade from Miami in the offseason.
Well, again, you're just going to see 6 in the box in here right now, and they're basically playing soft in the secondary. Adrian Wilson way out of there. Antrell Roll, the other safety, out of there. Aaron Francisco having to come up and make the tackle. But when you're not making contact on a running back until he's about 8 or 9 yards down the field, you're in for a long night. I don't know how long they can stick with this strategy.
How about the left guard, Todd Hermans? He had a combo block. He got 2 guys in one play. Westbrook this time gets nothing as he stood up at the 20-yard line, loses a yard. Antonio Smith got the first hit on him.
Yeah, the answer would be not much longer, because Adrian Wilson, the safety that time, came down on the line of scrimmage, and they're going to have more guys in the box to have a chance here.
Adrian Wilson in his 8th year out of North Carolina State, Pro Bowler in 2006. Arizona needs to keep Philadelphia out of the end zone. Already down 14-0. 2nd and 11. McNabb wide open. Jackson at the 10. Tripped up at the 6. First down, Philadelphia.
Don't you get the feeling this Deshaun Jackson could be really special? We've seen him on punt returns. We've seen him all season long as a rookie, one of the leading receivers in the game today, the leading receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. And it was just a matter of time before they went ahead and made the call, hey, let's face the facts. This guy's our best player. Let's get the football in his hands and let him make plays.
You know, coming into the season with him being drafted, you said, wow, he's added a whole different dimension to their offense. McNabb on a 1st and goal. L.J. Smith gets a hard yard. Antrell Roll cut him down. For Smith, only his 20th catch of the season.
And it's not often you see an offensive tackle make a tackle, but that time John Runyon gave L.J. Smith a good shot at the end of that play. He tried to make a move on the tail end of it, and John Runyon, who hasn't been the best of years for him or the other tackle for that matter, Trey Thomas, but he was out there in space.
We should say happy birthday to John. Today is his 35th birthday on Thanksgiving Day. On a 2nd and goal, Westbrook looking for his 3rd touchdown. He's got 1 receiving and 1 running, takes it down to the 2.
You know, watching this drive, I'm just reminded of how good I think the NFC East is. You know, some of those teams, like the Philadelphia Eagles, sitting there at 5-5-1, but you wonder if the Eagles played in the NFC West with some of those teams, what their record might be. I just think that right now this is a huge offensive line, and they are just exerting their will on Arizona at the moment.
3rd and goal for McNabb and the Eagles. He's got Westbrook wide open, and he'll walk in. 3rd touchdown for Brian Westbrook here in the 1st half. And for McNabb, his 2nd touchdown pass, and Philadelphia pushes their lead to 20 with an extra point pending.
Well, that time Adrian Wilson was coming off the edge, but on the other side, the Philadelphia Eagles got a nice little rub on the outside coverage of Brian Westbrook, and that's why he was able to pop absolutely wide open.
Akers' extra point is good. So the Philadelphia Eagles have forced 2 interceptions. Donovan McNabb has thrown 2 touchdown passes, and the Eagles by 21.
And just simply think he's going to get a pick right here. And then you're going to see the tight end come out and Westbrook out here. But there is nobody covering either one of them. That's just a blown coverage on a good play. And for Arizona, it's been a little embarrassing so far.
Westbrook with 2 receiving touchdowns and a rushing touchdown here in the 1st half. Arrington for Arizona does not even make the 20-yard line. Sean Considine able to wrap him up. Kurt Warner's been picked off twice. He's got to get the offense going in a hurry because Donovan McNabb has the hot hand. Eagles by 21.
Eagles in this ballgame so far, 17 runs, 11 passes, and Brian Westbrook has been outstanding using this guy, using all the abilities that he has.
Well, I got to tell you, as productive as Westbrook has been, what will get you beat even quicker is a blown defense. And if you watch this, they had a bunch formation, 3 receivers in one area. One guy got picked from the Cardinals, but just a bit, and he continued to rush, leaving a Westbrook wide open in the flat, and that just can't.
If they do, they should be in the mix.
Chance to wrap up their 1st division title since '75, and you can just feel the raw emotion from this football team so far, can't you?
Yeah.
Right.
I was going to say, I feel it from the Eagles.
Yeah.
1st down pass to Breston, and Dawkins grabs him by the leg and throws him down. You know, it's interesting too with the Arizona Cardinals at 7-4 on the season. They lead the West. They're going to win the West. But the question is, are they ready for prime time, Chris? They lost to the Redskins. They lost to the Jets, a good team. They lost to the Giants. They lost to Carolina, all good football teams. Now, they did beat Buffalo earlier in the year when the Bills were playing well, but this was kind of a statement game for them in a lot of ways.
Well, they're making a statement. It's not a good one, but they're making a statement.
2nd and 8 for Warner. Fitzgerald has a 1st down to the 31-yard line. Larry Fitzgerald with 73 catches now on the season, his first of the night. Quentin Michael on the tackle with Hansen.
Well, that's what you have to do with this football team, and I think you have to get away from the running game. They came out here and they tried to keep running it on first down. They were putting themselves in second and long. Come out, do what you do, throw the football, get the ball in the hands of these playmakers, and let them go. This football team, if you just complete some short balls to these wide receivers, they are very difficult to get on the ground.
Fitzgerald to the bottom of your screen on the 1st and 10. Warner under pressure, got hammered by Trent Cole.
Well, Trent Cole with the spin move that time, working inside of Mike Gandy. And Trent Cole, when you look at his 40-yard dash time, it's not very impressive. You watch him play football, and this guy is something special. He really is. He has a knack of getting to the quarterback. And I tell you, if the Arizona Cardinals don't do any better job protecting Kurt Warner after what he faced last week against the Giants, and now taking the kind of hits he's taking here tonight, he may not survive the evening.
Cole, a Pro Bowler last year with 12.5 sacks, has 7 this season. Bolden in motion. Anquan Bolden on the run. Bolden fumbles the football. It's loose on the ground, and Arizona recovered it. So nearly a third turnover. It was the left tackle, Mike Gandy, who recovered the football.
Well, I tell you, I don't think the Arizona Cardinals survive that one. If they have another turnover, their quarterback's already thrown 2 to the other team, and then your star wide receiver comes up and lays another one on the ground. This is a physical beating that we've seen so far that the Philadelphia Eagles have put on them.
Actually, it was Steve Preston who recovered it as Bolden took a shot. Jeremy Urban comes in on a 3rd and 2. Now Arizona needs a timeout with the play clock down to 1. 6:05 to go in the second. A very important drive for Kurt Warner and the Cardinals as Bolden nearly turned it over. The possession saved by Preston. Hightower in the backfield with Warner. Hightower's wide open with room to run. Finally dragged down by Michael at the 35-yard line, and that's a gain of 26 and a much-needed first down for Arizona.
Well, we've seen the Arizona Cardinals blow a coverage, and that time the Philadelphia Eagles did. Their inside linebacker in man coverage simply did not get out on that one. Looked like that was Stuart Bradley who sort of got stuck looking in the backfield and allowed that big first down.
On a 1st and 10, Steven Spock, the tight end, in motion. Warner with time. Warner with an open man downfield and completes it to Leonard Pope, the tight end. He had a step on the defense, and the 2nd-year man out of Georgia with his 8th catch of the season.
Well, I hate to do it on Thanksgiving, but I think it's Stuart Bradley again, number 55, the middle linebacker who got caught up on the play fake. You know, these Eagles linebackers are trained from day one to attack downhill. They want to get in the backfield, fill their A gap, and attack. And sometimes play action can get these guys. That's 2 times in a row now. Bradley's been caught peeking in the backfield. He's giving up big plays.
Well, Brian Dawkins said these guys are young and athletic, but they still sometimes can be a little robotic as to knowing exactly where their fits are.
Ooh, we've got a challenge flag.
Andy Reid's going to challenge it. It looked like from the replay we saw that Leonard Pope was able to cradle that football. Andy Reid wants to challenge the catch.
You know, the question is, if you go up and catch the football, you have to, and you're going to the ground making the catch, you have to maintain possession all the way to the ground.
Well, will Leonard Pope's 25-yard catch stand? They'll go to replay to determine.
In the game. So this is great. It fits right into the defensive scheme that they use in Philadelphia. Tackle, tackle, tackle.
Pope, the 25-yard catch.
If you're going to the ground on your own making a catch, you have to maintain possession all the way through going to the ground.
As the receiver is going to the ground, the ball does move. However, he does not lose possession. The ball does hit the ground, but the receiver maintains control. Therefore, we have a catch. Philadelphia's charged with a timeout.
Al Riveron, our referee, and that's the Bert Emanuel rule from the Tampa Bay Bucks in the NFC Championship game against the St. Louis Cardinals. So the ball can actually make contact with the ground, but he maintains control even though it moves, Chris.
The ball, once he had it pinned to his shoulder, even though the back end of that ball was on the ground, didn't move sufficiently for the official to make the call or make the change.
And remember, the ruling on the field was catch, so you need something conclusive to overturn the ruling. So Arizona with first down at the 10. Hightower met by Dawkins and then hit by Akeem Jordan. Picks up a couple on the play to about the 8-yard line.
Boy, Brian Dawkins can sure close, can he? I mean, Brian Dawkins was standing 10 yards deep back on the goal line when that play started to break to the outside, and he came up and made the play. Dawkins, a guy that at one point in his career was probably so much the best safety in the game of football. It wasn't even fair. I think he's a very legitimate Hall of Fame candidate.
Sort of the emotional leader of that defense as well in his 13th year out of Clemson. Second and goal for Warner. Has time, delivers it to the 2-yard line to Bolden, who gets stopped short right there. Michael was there to jump on his back. There is a flag on the play as well. This is his first year as referee for Al Riveron.
Illegal contact, number 27, defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Correction, half the distance from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
And more importantly, it's an automatic first down.
Well, Quentin Michael did all that he thought he could do. Anquan Bolden went to the goal line and then simply got rebound position on him. You see number 81. There's the illegal contact. Going to turn around and just shield off Quentin Michael and make the catch. And that's what he is capable of doing. Probably the most physical wide receiver in the National Football League. And when you get him inside, it's tough.
Now, if the ball's not in the air, Chris, when the contact is made, you are allowed 5 yards to hit a receiver. That's a chuck. You're allowed to chuck a receiver. And they're going to reset the ball.
3.75-yard line. First down.
The ball was out and in the air, and it was over the 5 yards. Because it happened at the 1, the ball was at the 7. But they reset the half the distance. They put it inside the 4.
There's Jim Johnson, the defensive coordinator, and this is typically blitz time for him. Let's see if he comes after Kurt Warner.
Play clock at 8. Warner dropped by Bolden. He doesn't drop many of those.
Wow. I don't know that I've seen that much at all from Anquan Bolden. You see the blitz is going to come in from the right side, so Kurt Warner goes back left, and that's just an easy pitch and catch right there. You just can't get any easier than that. But Brian Dawkins was closing in, and Anquan Bolden, and we talked about how tough he is, but he may have taken a peek at Brian Dawkins.
Hightower on second and goal fights to the 1. Wade Parker on the tackle. I want to welcome those of you who are joining us on NFL.com. Welcome to NFL Network Thursday Night Football. You can log on now to NFL.com/live for enhanced coverage of tonight's game.
You know, strategically here, I think this is without question 4-down territory. You're getting beat up in the game, 21-0. You take 2 shots. Maybe if it's another situation, you might not run here. For the Cardinals, maybe they do take a shot at running this one if they're going to do it twice.
Third and goal, Hightower in the 1-back set. Eagles on a blitz. Warner, incomplete, but a flag as Bolden was held. So they'll put it back at the 1, and it'll be first and goal. Celio Hansen the guilty party.
Holding, number 21. Defense, half the distance to the goal. Automatic.
Rogelio Hansen once again working one-on-one against Anquan Bolden. Not a lot there.
Looked like a pretty good strip, Chris.
And then the strip from behind, but I didn't see anything at all as far as pulling a jersey or hooking an arm, and that would have been 4th and 1. Wow, that's some call.
So now it's 1st and goal. Smith, the fullback, in motion. Warner just dumps it away, incomplete. Jaquay Parker got the pressure. Chris will take one more look at the penalty on Hansen on the 3rd and goal pass to Bolden.
Hansen's lined up inside, going to try and take away this slant. And the only thing I can't see, it may have been with that left hand, if he grabbed the jersey and pulled it at all right there, if the official standing in behind saw any material at all being pulled from the shoulder pad, they'll call that. I didn't see it. Obviously, the official saw something else.
The flag did come out, though, before the drop, so maybe he saw that tug. 2nd and goal. Warner again. This time Fitzgerald has the touchdown. So Larry Fitzgerald with his 7th touchdown catch of the season. 11 plays, 81 yards on the drive, and a stabilizing touchdown for the Cardinals.
Do you ever think you'd get to the point where you were watching a football game and saw so many balls on the 4th and inches or 1st and inches, and everybody's throwing the ball now? But when you have a receiver like Larry Fitzgerald in one-on-one coverage, say, hey, if you're going to go out there and play man coverage on those guys, we're just going to take advantage.
Racker's extra point is good. So Larry Fitzgerald fights off the Lito Shepherd jam. Easy touchdown for the Cardinals receiver.
To match a flooding of the area, and not many guys do that, but this is a testament to the fact that they're willing to change and make those adjustments.
But 3 times this year they have allowed 35 points or more, but you have to go back to 1997 since that's happened to them. So with this Cardinals offense, it is still game on.
Rackers with the kickoff. Demps with a head of steam. Demps trying to turn the corner and tripped up at the 33-yard line. Nice return by Quentin Demps. Well, earlier today in Detroit, Dante Culpepper, oops, Dave Ball with the pick 6. Titans roll 47-10.
And then he tried to fly at the end. I like that.
Meanwhile, in Dallas, 3rd quarter, Tony Romo hooking up with Tio. Dallas made it 31-9. They win it 34-9 on this Thanksgiving.
Do you get the feeling if anybody is going to truly have a shot at the Giants this year, it may well be those Dallas Cowboys?
Could be. Coming up at the half, it's the Sprint halftime show. Analysis of Donovan McNabb. Costly win for the Cowboys. And a different side of Kurt Warner. Westbrook, who's had a very good first half. He has all 3 touchdowns for the Eagles on the carry. Darnell Dockett on the tackle.
Yeah, you just get the feeling this is a really significant part of the ball game here. The Cardinals down 21-7. If they can hold the Eagles here, finally make a defensive stand, even if they get the ball back and don't score, at least the momentum will have shifted a little bit. Conversely, if the Eagles can take it down and even put a field goal up, it really shifts it in their favor.
And Arizona will get the ball to start the 3rd. McNabb with the play action. McNabb to the sideline. Deshaun Jackson has a first down.
There's Deshaun Jackson. Really is something special. A smaller guy, very quick receiver. That time working against Cromartie on the outside, one of the fastest guys playing in the National Football League. And despite his speed, he was giving a lot of room to Jackson. That's the sign of a great receiver when they're backing up as a defensive back, a little afraid.
Well, Donovan McNabb got benched last week. Great first half. Eagles in front 21-7 at the 2-minute warning. Goes incomplete.
You know, I really think the story of this first half has been the ability of the Eagles to run the football. There's been so much conversation in Philadelphia under Andy Reid, the run-pass ratio. Andy Reid's teams run the ball only 41% of the time since he's been here, and that is the least amount of any coach in NFL history. And yet today, because they were able to establish Brian Westbrook early in this one, take some pressure off Donovan McNabb, this Eagles offense looks really dynamic.
You saw Westbrook's numbers. He has all 3 touchdowns for Philadelphia, 2 receiving, 1 rushing. McNabb under some pressure, buys some time. McNabb avoids the hit and gets out of bounds and picks up positive yardage to the Arizona 48.
The X factor. There it is. I mean, when Donovan McNabb is playing his complete game, and I understand he wants to be known as a passer and all those things, but when you can do this as a quarterback and watch him break through these tackles, there are not many quarterbacks in the National Football League that can make that play. Now, instead of a sack or instead of a 3rd down and 10, you end up with 3rd and 2 and a chance to convert. He should do that more.
Philadelphia 2 for 3 on their 3rd downs. They've all been manageable. They've all been short. McNabb tonight 11 of 13. Big difference from 4 days ago. McNabb over the middle, and he's got Hank Baskett for a 1st down. He just beat Ralph Brown to the inside.
All of these Eagles receivers have gotten a bit of a reputation this season for drops. Well, Hank Baskett has made 2 really nice catches so far.
Eagles use a timeout, trying to add to a 21-7 lead.
And Philadelphia and with some other quarterbacks that run the ball a lot.
Literally with all day. Checks down to the 39-yard line, and L.J. Smith fights for a couple of extra yards before he gets tripped up.
Well, this hasn't been a great year protection-wise for the Philadelphia Eagles. They have certainly chipped and helped with their backs and tight ends more than I can ever remember them see chipping and helping with Trey Thomas and John Runyon on the outside, but that protection was perfect.
2nd and 5. McNabb with some room. McNabb's got a 1st down, and McNabb will get out of bounds at the 24-yard line.
Warren Sapp almost made the tackle over there. And this is the difference. This is Donovan McNabb from 5-6 years ago. I mean, I can still hear the defensive coordinators that I talked to said that is what we can't stop. We don't have anybody on our football team, even if we spy, that can bring him down in a one-on-one situation. Now defensively, what do? Now you're trying to cover up the receivers they have. You're trying to cover Brian Westbrook, and all of a sudden big number 5 comes running at you.
Morning, Wig. And he told us before the game we were pretty good offensively until this last little slump. Curtis gets out of a tackle and then stood up at the 16-yard line. Under a minute to go here in the half. Philadelphia does have the 1 timeout remaining.
Do you get the feeling that maybe the best thing that ever happened to the Philadelphia Eagles was benching Donovan McNabb? I think they got his attention. He is playing Donovan McNabb style football in a way that I haven't seen in a while.
At 5-5-1, they probably need to run the table in the NFC to get into the postseason. McNabb, Curtis, can't reel it in. Green on the coverage. Curtis wants a flag.
Green with the coverage, little double move on the outside by Curtis. You know, I don't think so. I wouldn't have called interference on that one either, and I'm a former wide receiver. The hands on him right at the right time. Sort of a bang-bang play. Close call, but I can't disagree with that one.
Just pretty good defense by Green.
Yeah.
3rd and 2 for the Eagles. McNabb, Baskett makes the catch. Did he get the sticks?
Close.
Eugene Wilson. Well, that one looked like a sure 1st down, but Adrian Wilson came in and closed fast, and
that's not
a
the
yard
mark.
short.
That's not the mark. Now you're going to get help from the official coming across the field who's going to say that's not close. Forward momentum is up here, And this officiating crew is now going to work together. That ball, I think, was clearly at least on that yellow line. The line judge on this side came all the way across the field, and the mark he had originally was probably another half yard ahead of that.
Well, look, they've changed the mark now.
Yeah, they did. They moved it up and gave him the first down. Good job that time of officiating. The lines judge on this side of the field came all the way across and made the right call.
You can see that Baskett clearly had the 14-yard line when he was contacted. Because we're inside of 2 minutes, that could have gone to review from a booth upstairs. You can review a spot. But the officials on the field cleaned it up nicely. So 1st and 10 for Philadelphia. McNabb again with some room to run. McNabb, there's a flag in the play as he gets out of bounds at the 5. And the flag came from the umpire where you normally get offensive holding. And there's an injured Eagle on the field. As Max Gene Gillis, the right guard, who's in for the injured Sean Andrews.
Number 67. 10-yard penalty. Good play, first down.
The hold is on center Jamal Jackson.
Really, and it was a collision between Jackson and Gene Gillis that created that. And it was not good for the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a team that's already been dinged at the guard position. You can see Gene Gillis getting rolled up on the back of his leg. And now you go down to your third guy at the right guard position.
I think it was Chike O'Keefer who fell on the back of his leg. And Max Gene Gillis has had to play all season because of Sean Andrews' injury. And they'll bring Nick Cole in at the right guard spot. Eagles by a 21-7 lead with 12 seconds to go in the half.
I think he broke.
First down, or I can run and get it myself, either way. And so usually they take it upon themselves and make that happen when they're younger.
To this offensive line, and Sean Andrews, one of the most physical players in the game today, and he's had to replace him.
Take a look at the playoff picture in the NFC. The division leaders are to your left. You see Philadelphia 5-5-1. Most likely you're going to need at least 10 wins to earn a wild card spot in the NFC, and that would mean Philadelphia has to win tonight and their final 4 games. And then suddenly that tie might come in handy. It looked pretty bad, you know, 2 weeks ago, but if they were to run the table, I mean, that tie comes in handy because win percentage 10-5-1 is better than 10-6.
I don't know that you're ever going to convince them that that tie to Cincinnati was a good thing.
So the third-year man, 4th-round pick in 2006 out of Georgia, Max Gene Gillis, who had only started 1 game prior to this year, in for the injured Sean Andrews, suffers an injury to his right leg as Chike O'Keefer inadvertently fell on the back of his right leg. Boy, you just hate to see that.
Yeah, and really the offensive line has been completely dominant in this one so far for Philadelphia, as this crowd gives them a nice hand going off.
Philadelphia had to use their last timeout because with 12 seconds to go. There was a holding penalty, but because of the injury, the clock did stop. So with 12 seconds to go in the half, the Eagles up 21-7. Philadelphia was charged with that timeout, Chris, because they committed that penalty. Even though McNabb got out of bounds, it was a holding penalty.
Right.
So with 12 seconds to go in the half, McNabb on a 1st and 20. McNabb will heave it to the end zone, intended for Avant, incomplete. And they were charged with the injury timeout because, you know, we've seen before they changed that rule, a lot of times teams that were behind, guys would suddenly Oh, I got an injury. Stop the clock.
Well, I used to play in a few of those games with the Buffalo Bills,
Right.
and there were a lot of guys who seemed to sprain their ankle right about the time that we were trying to get our no huddle going.
So they've cut out the acting. Now Akers to try a 42-yard field goal. 22 of 26. Snap is good, and Akers knocks it through. So with 1 second to go in the half, Philadelphia now up 24-7. It's been a great first half for the Philadelphia Eagles and Donovan McNabb. A couple of touchdown passes.
Well, and the big thing, I think, is the fact that time of possession is so one-sided. You know, the Eagles have just maintained control of the ball.
Kick off every Sunday with NFL Game Day Morning, the first and best pregame show, 10 Eastern. Spiro Ditas and All-Pros Warren Sapp and Marshall Falk get you started at 10 a.m. Eastern on NFL Network. And you don't want to miss Warren Sapp's interview with Chris Jenkins of the New York Jets. Those two have had a running feud for a long time. And that should be an interesting little conversation.
Kind of dates back to their playing days,
Yeah.
right? When they had a few things to say about each other out there.
Well, what about this first half for Philadelphia? I mean, just what the doctor ordered, especially for Donovan McNabb.
You know, maybe it was a good thing. You know, Kevin Cobb came in last week. It probably made Donovan a little bit mad. I think it definitely did. I talked to him a little bit about it. He wasn't happy at all. He wasn't happy with the fact that Andy Reid didn't tell him personally. And what has he done in response? He's gone out and played one of the best halves of football we've seen him play all year.
And what did Andy Reid say last week? Sometimes you have to take a little step back to move forward. That was part of his explanation. They have certainly leaped forward tonight.
No question about that. One small step.
Akers just knocks it downfield. They pitch it to Urban, and that's the end of the first half. So Donovan McNabb and the Eagles with a very impressive opening first half. 24-7 the score as they force a couple of turnovers and get some touchdown passes from McNabb. The Eagles leading the Cardinals 24-7 at the half. Stay tuned for the Sprint halftime show. It's coming your way after this break.
NFC West were 0-14 against teams in NFC and AFC. Let's get back to our ball game and join the commentators Bob Papa and Chris Collinsworth.
And they really, by their own alignments and soft play, sort of allowed Donovan to get comfortable.
J.J. Arrington to start this third quarter. Arrington fights his way up to about the 30-yard line, and that's where Warner and the Cardinals will start first and 10. Well, it wasn't a good first quarter for Kurt Warner, who got intercepted a couple of times. Only 90 yards passing in the first half.
Well, and you talked to Todd Haley, the offensive coordinator, and he said the big thing that I had to convince Kurt Warner of, A, was ball security, quit fumbling it, but B, quit making bad throws in the middle of the field. The way that Kurt Warner started this game was exactly what he was talking about. You cannot give it away to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Bolden goes in motion. Warner to throw. Warner harassed. Warner in the middle of the field to Hightower, and Hightower able to pick up 5 yards as Bradley made the tackle.
Todd Haley there.
Todd Haley.
And, you know, and I know what he wanted to do. He wanted to come out and try and establish the run. But against this Philadelphia Eagles defense, maybe in years gone by you might have been able to do that. But they have so vastly improved their run defense. And Arizona is so bad at run football, it sort of wasted downs early on and put them in some tough situations.
2nd and 5. Hightower gets a yard, and that's it. Jaquay Parker on the tackle just to clean up the end of the first half. Max Gene Gillis, who went out of the ball game for Philadelphia, the right guard, suffered a fractured right ankle.
Yeah, hate to hear it. He was having a terrific season. And there's Ken Wisenhunt, the head coach. And thus far what we've seen is the Cardinals can't run the ball at all. Their running backs thus far in this game are averaging 1 yard per carry.
Edgerrin James got 1 carry last week against the Giants, averaging 3.3 yards per rush this season, the lowest in the NFL. It's been Tim Hightower's show the last couple of weeks. He's to the right of Warner on this 3rd and 4. Warner just gets it off, and it's incomplete. Pressure coming off the edge from Chris Clemens.
And there hasn't been a lot of pressure in Kurt Warner's face, but there's always been one free rusher. We haven't seen the typical Jim Johnson, 3 or 4 guys meeting at the quarterback, a lot of blitzing, a lot of high pressure stuff. Right now, his defensive line without blitzing is getting there and getting in the face of Kurt Warner.
So a 3 and out to start the third. Dirk Johnson, who's had his struggles with a toppling punt. Deshaun Jackson just gets tripped up and a flag comes in as well. Michael Adams made the tackle. We'll check the flag. I wonder if Adams was illegally blocked in the back while making the tackle. See the field judge with the call. That's what it is.
Illegal block in the back. Receiving team, number 27. And your penalty, first down.
Quentin Michael called for the penalty. But Todd Haley and Kurt Warner trying to figure out the Eagles defense. Feeling some heat. Eagles in front 24-7. Kurt Warner and the high-flying Cardinals have struggled. Westbrook with a crease right takes it up to the 21-yard line. Antrell Roll on the tackle. Westbrook 15 carries, 80 yards.
You know, so many times during the course of this season, the Philadelphia Eagles have been stopped in short yardage and goal line situations, and you just have to wonder, what would their record have been if they just had the ability to convert a couple of 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s in all these games that were either losses or ties. And it was just so strange to watch this team game after game get embarrassed in short yardage situations.
McNabb can't find Curtis Brown on the coverage. And they had 1 3rd and 1 tonight. They brought in Kyle Eckel, who was signed on October the 21st. And the South Philadelphia native picked up the first down.
Who's a tough guy. You know, maybe they finally found somebody. And, you know, I think there's a little bit of a mindset when you're in a West Coast offense that, you know, you're constantly pass protecting and dropping back and trying to help your quarterback. But this is the biggest offensive line in the NFL. I mean, occasionally you got to get a big back in there and let him go. And Eckel at least came through in that situation.
You think about their playoff win against the Giants a couple of years ago on the game-winning drive. It was all Brian Westbrook running the ball right. Blitz on. McNabb makes Wilson miss. Great move by McNabb. It's incomplete. Intended for Jason Avant.
But where was this in the first half? You know, all the Arizona Cardinals did in the first half was sit back and allow easy throws to a quarterback who is clearly struggling. Yes, Wilson misses, but he forces Donovan off the spot, and then he throws inaccurately. That is what you have to do to Donovan McNabb. I don't know what they were doing in the first half. They just made it so easy, allowed the run and easy completions by McNabb.
They sort of acted as if they were playing against their own receivers. Preston from his own 35. And he picks up a couple. And Akeem Jordan on the tackle. Well, Warner will try to jumpstart this high-powered offense, which has been dormant tonight.
From the Link in Philadelphia.
Active for 60 minutes a day on this day of giving. Donate now at NFL.com/play60 to help kids get active and healthy in your community. Kurt Warner and the Cardinals trying to get things going. And that pass is dropped. Wow. By Anquan Bolden. That's his 2nd drop tonight. 1 was a touchdown.
Wow. I mean, I don't know if there's something wrong with Anquan or not. We saw him limp around a little bit earlier. But, I mean, that's 2 now right in his hands. And arguably another one that he should have had that got ripped out of his hands. But now we're seeing the Cardinals be the Cardinals, spread it out, and let's go to work, Kurt Warner.
The 3rd quarter has been a big quarter for the Cardinals this year. Warner on a 2nd and 10. Completes it up to the 45-yard line to Steve Preston. Brian Dawkins on the tackle, a yard short of the first down.
And that's one of the few blitzes I've seen so far out of the Eagles in this ball game. Going to bring pressure right up the middle here. But watch how the Arizona Cardinals pick it up. Beautifully done that time. Kurt Warner steps up. Big completion. Maybe they're starting to get in a little rhythm now.
3rd and 1. Arizona goes spread. Warner with time. Warner dropped by Urban. Well, this is a team that is known for catching the football and 3 huge drops.
I'm going to bet they have dropped more passes tonight than they have dropped in any 2 games this season. I mean, this is probably the most perfect night to play football, to play pitch and catch that we've seen all year. Nice, cool night, absolutely no wind to speak of, and the Cardinals are simply blowing it this evening.
That would have been a first down. Johnson on trying to keep it away from Jackson, and that is not a good one as it sails into the Philadelphia bench. The official spots it at the 32-yard line. 23-yard punt. Nothing going right for the Cardinals tonight.
It goes on reputations and numbers as well.
10 for McNabb. Pass batted by Chike O'Keefer and incomplete. And a lot of talk about Donovan McNabb coming into this game. For more on that, we check in with Adam Schefter.
Happy Thanksgiving, Bob. If the Green Bay Packers could trade Brett Favre last season, then certainly the Philadelphia Eagles could trade Donovan McNabb this offseason. If you take a look at Donovan McNabb's contract and read the fine print, you see an easy out. Donovan McNabb is scheduled to count $10.3 million against the salary cap next season. 1.1 is an accelerated signing bonus. So if the Eagles were to trade Donovan McNabb, they actually would free $9.2 million worth of salary cap space. Bob?
Well, very interesting. And, you know, with the backdrop of last week, Chris, and getting benched, and is it Kevin Cobb's time? He's probably quieted that tonight, but there's a lot of football left in Donovan McNabb, who just turned 32 on Tuesday.
Well, to give you some frame of reference, Peyton Manning's 32, Jake Delhomme's 33, Matt Hasselbeck 33, Tom Brady 31. I mean, these are guys in the prime of their careers, and you can talk all you want about trading the guy. But my goodness gracious, why would you want to trade somebody like this over a couple of bad games?
Third down, McNabb. Hank Basket has a first down to the 48-yard line.
You know, there is pressure anytime that you draft somebody as high as they did with Kevin Cobb. And you know, Randall Cunningham was drafted high, and then it was Donovan McNabb, and then it was Kevin Cobb. And last week he came in, and yes, there were some disastrous plays, but he had one beautiful drive that he took him down the field, very West Coast looking style of play, delivering the ball quickly, accurate guy. So yeah, I think he's going to be a good player, but I don't want to hear about Donovan McNabb getting out of here for somebody you don't know anything about.
Westbrook picks up about 4. Well, owner Jeffrey Lurie and team president Joe Banner in this run with Andy Reid have done a wonderful job of making dollars and cents.
Right.
How they've always managed their salary cap. So a lot of things come into consideration when you look at the overall picture, whether it's McNabb or some of the other guys, as to how you move forward.
Well, how much do you think the Minnesota Vikings might be willing to give up with to get Donovan McNabb to go along with Adrian Peterson and the running game and the defense that they have up there? So sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for.
McNabb on a 1st and 10. That's Brent Selleck, tight end. Tackled by Gerald Hayes near the first down marker, and it is enough for a Philadelphia first down.
Well, the Arizona Cardinals keep trying to send a little pressure now, and the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line just continues to dominate. I think the unwritten story so far in this one has been the play of this offensive line and defensive line from Philadelphia. They have simply manhandled in a very NFC East way the Arizona Cardinals.
50 offensive plays for Philadelphia, the 28 for Arizona. Westbrook was in motion, some pressure underneath. Curtis makes a juggling catch at the 37-yard line.
I'll tell you, one of the guys they brought in on that offensive line to replace Max Gene Gillis, this guy Nick Cole, he looks like a fire hydrant out there blocking, but nobody has gotten through so far with him. And once again, we're seeing an Eagles receiver, after having the most drops in the NFL this season, make a big play catching the ball. It's amazing how your quarterback looks better when these guys start making plays.
McNabb a tidy 18 of 25 now for 131 yards and a couple of touchdowns. 2nd and 6. Fastball. Deshaun Jackson to the 20-yard line. Another first down for the Eagles. Gain of 18 on the play.
I want want you to watch the protection on this play. There is just going to be simply nobody even get within the vicinity of Donovan McNabb. I mean, if you're going to give any quarterback not only that kind of time, but that kind of space, what quarterbacks will tell you is the most valuable thing an offensive line can do is allow me to step into my throw. That time he could have jumped into the throw.
Lorenzo Booker in a tailback. Oops. And that time a false start against the Philadelphia Eagles.
False start, number 72, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
You know,
it's Trey Thomas.
Yeah, and it's not just Donovan McNabb the Eagles are going to have to make a decision on this year. They've got a lot of star players that have been around here for a long time that are up. John Runyon, the right tackle, Trey Thomas, the left tackle. You got Brian Dawkins in the secondary, their longtime star at safety. So it is move time for the Eagles when this season's over.
So on a 1st and 15, McNabb hit some pressure and he just flips that one away as he took a hit by Brian Robinson.
That has to be intentional grounding there.
McNabb's pointing to where a receiver was, but the ball wasn't even close. Line of scrimmage was the 25-yard line, and now the flag comes out.
Intentional grounding on the quarterback, 10-yard penalty. The down counts, second down.
Well, Lorenzo Booker, the running back, was on that side of the ball, number 25. But you'll see Donovan never really even tries to do anything but dump it, and it doesn't even make it back to the line of scrimmage there. I think that's a pretty good call by the official. Yeah. Clearly just trying to avoid the sack.
The line of scrimmage was the 25-yard line. The ball bounced at the 30-yard line, so it wasn't even close to the line of scrimmage and nowhere near Booker. So they lose the down. Now 2nd and 25 for Philadelphia. Halfway through the third. Avant the motion man. Westbrook turns the corner, can't stay in bounds to turn it upfield. Carlos Dansby knocked him out of bounds. As we take a look at this core of the Philadelphia Eagles, and you know, this veteran group that's been together for such a while. Trey Thomas in his 11th year out of Florida. John Runyon in his 13th year out of Michigan. Donovan McNabb in his 10th year out of Syracuse. Brian Dawkins in his 13th year out of Clemson.
You know, and the other guy you have to include in there, and it sounds strange at age 29, but as a running back, you have to include Brian Westbrook as well. That's a guy that, you know, as you start approaching 30 years of age, you start doing a little thinking and a little shopping if you're an organization. And clearly Brian Westbrook has had a tough time staying healthy, but boy, you can still see what he can do when he is. And it was funny, I was asking him, I said, don't you think maybe it's time that they draft a big back that can take some of the carries away from you? He's like, are you kidding me? He says, I only get to run the ball about 15 times a game. I don't want to split those.
Tonight he's been a little busier. Well, 18 carries for 93 yards.
And here's what Westbrook can do. You can see him down at the bottom of the screen flanked out.
Deshaun Jackson for the 15. Jackson down the sideline, and he's got a first down. Stepped out at the 9. That's the new dimension that he brings to the Philadelphia offense.
Yeah, I always love punt returners as wide receivers because when you get the ball in their hands and you get them in some space, they look like punt returners in the open field. There's simply the vertical route going up, and Jackson saw the open space in there, and he nearly broke that one. He is just one of those dynamic players. I can remember watching him coming out in the draft, and you kind of went, wow, when you saw him do some of the things that he did in college.
5 catches for 71 yards for Jackson. He got 24 there. Westbrook right up the middle. Brian Westbrook is in. 4th touchdown of the game for Westbrook. And he has just tied a franchise record with 4 touchdowns in one game.
Well, I tell you, they are just wiping out this Arizona Cardinal defensive line. Todd Harriman just blowing away Arizona on that run. What a hole.
Ryan Westbrook, 102 yards rushing. 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving. David Akers with the extra point. And what a night for Donovan McNabb. He's hit 20 of 28. And Brian Westbrook has tied a franchise record with 4 touchdowns, and the game still has a quarter and a half left. Presented by Amway on a clear, crisp evening in Philadelphia Lincoln Financial Field on a Thanksgiving night. Castillo, the offensive line coach, got to be pretty pleased with the way his team has dominated at the point of attack.
Men against boys so far.
J.J. Arrington from his own 3. Arrington wrapped up at the 24-yard line by Tracy White. Chris, another look at the touchdown for Westbrook.
Yeah, watch Todd Harriman right here as he's going to simply take a 330-pound Gabe Watson and blow him out. Look at this hole here. Holy cow. Brian Westbrook had to be cutting back and going, are you kidding me? I mean, you just certainly don't see holes like that in the NFC East. If you see the Giants enough to know those kind of holes don't pop open. What a block by Harriman.
The last Philadelphia Eagle to score 4 touchdowns in a game, Irving Fryer, back in 1996. So Kurt Warner down 31-7. Hits Bolden, and he's hit by Basilio Hansen.
Well, the key for the Arizona Cardinals is they're just simply going to have to try and get the ball in the hands of these receivers and let them go. Anquan Bolden is one of the best players in the NFL at the run after the catch. He ranks 2nd in yards right now, but what the Philadelphia Eagles have done all night is get in the face of these receivers and not allow those quick throws.
Something the Giants did last week. Bolden had 11 catches, but for only 88 yards. Warner, dangerous play, nearly picked off by Sheldon Brown.
You know, we've seen Kurt Warner do a lot of great things this season. Tonight has just simply been a struggle, and maybe the Philadelphia Eagles have hit on something. This is a team that likes to blitz a lot, and yet tonight they have basically been rushing 4. Remember, Kurt Warner has the NFL's highest rating when he's being blitzed, 122.6. So I think Jim Johnson has said, we're not going to give him any advantage. We're going to take away those quick throws and make him look down the field, and it has not looked good.
Combined, Bolden and Fitzgerald, 4 catches for 18 yards. There's Fitzgerald, but short of the sticks. Sheldon Brown on the tackle.
Just classic Jim Johnson again. You get a 3rd down and 10 situation. Jim Johnson is going to blitz, force you to throw hot, have his corner come up and make the tackle. Send your punter on the field, please. You've seen that if you watch Philadelphia. It is probably 95% of the time you get 3rd and 10. That's what you get.
Dirk Johnson's last punt was 23 yards. Got some pressure from Kyle Eckel. Deshaun Jackson yells scatter, and Jackson touches the ball, and it looks like Arizona has it.
I think Jackson was convinced that somebody on his team touched it, and he felt like he had to recover it. I'm not sure that they did, though.
I think he thought the ball hit the back of Greg Lewis, and that's why he went after the football.
I agree. I think that's exactly what happened.
He yelled scatter. It took a kind of crazy bounce. Maybe it was Jason Avant's foot that he thought it hit.
Well, but he wouldn't have been diving at that point. I think it probably happened earlier as it was bouncing around some of his other players. But for Arizona, boy, you needed a desperate sort of break to go your way. And there you go. Now at least you have an opportunity. And remember, this Eagles defense gave up a ton of points in the 4th quarter last week against Baltimore. So who knows?
Well, that was their best play of the night.
Yeah, to call that one again.
From the 35, Warner. Bolden. And there's Bolden plowing his way to the 15-yard line. Gain of 20 on the play for Anquan Bolden. His longest reception of the night, only his 3rd catch.
Yeah, and now here you go, Arizona coming up in the no huddle, and that's exactly what they're going to try and do. You end up trying to
And Breston couldn't handle the high throw. Brown on the coverage.
Well, don't forget now, the Philadelphia Eagles have made a few changes back there in the secondary. Asante Samuel being out, so we've been talking about Joselio Hansen in there, Quentin Demps. The kick returner has been playing the slot corner, and that's who Bolden was working against. So he may not be quite as comfortable in this situation when Arizona starts into this no huddle.
See if the Cardinals can take advantage of the special team snafu. Warner to Breston at the 6-yard line. He's a yard short of the first down. With 4 minutes to go in the third.
Bob, one of the differences I've seen in Arizona's offense tonight is they're not using as many of those tight bunch formations. They're spreading it out. The belief is if they can give Kurt Warner a little more time to see the blitz coming, he can take advantage of it. And that's the reason you're seeing them split much wider than what they were against this very similar defense of the Giants a week ago.
Arizona 0 for 1 on a 3rd and 1. 2 of 7 overall. Hightower in the backfield with Warner. Warner gets it out quickly. Warner to the goal line to Breston, and it's a touchdown. Lito Shepherd on the coverage. Breston caught it at the goal line. Ken Wisenhunt saying, let's go for 2.
And for Lito Shepherd, it's been a tough couple of weeks. He gave up a long one that busted the game open last week against the Baltimore Ravens, and this time just giving up a ton of cushion right on the goal line. I'm not sure exactly why you would do that. Is looking in the backfield and simply couldn't get there.
And the official was positioned right on the goal line. So Arizona will go for 2 here.
They get a 16-point game and
they're
2 possession.
1 for 4 on the season. Warner has it batted away by Quentin Michael, who's had a heck of a game tonight. So there is a flag on the play.
Illegal use of the hands to the face, number 24, defense. Half the distance to the goal, replay the extra point.
That's Sheldon Brown with the penalty, so they get another retry.
Working against Larry Fitzgerald on the outside. We've been talking about how they've been getting physical. You cannot do that. Good call by the official.
And the head linesman was right there, so Arizona gets another crack at the 2-point conversion with 3:21 to go.
Well, now they bring tight ends in, and be interesting to see if they think they can run against Philadelphia, something they have not been able to do all night long.
They've got Smith and Hightower in the backfield. Warner flips it left, and it's knocked away from Fitzgerald by Sheldon Brown. So he atones for the penalty. The 2-point conversion fails. Sheldon Brown right on Fitzgerald. Got his hand in there at the last second. Marcus Ware both injured for the Cowboys in that game.
You know, and there's been discussion in the past whether the Detroit Lions should always have the Thanksgiving game or spread it around. That discussion may grow a little louder after that performance.
McNabb, wide open Curtis. Curtis shakes Ralph Brown and picks up 10 more. The 48-yard line, a gain of 25.
Well, Kevin Curtis, who's been through so much this year, started the season with a sports hernia surgery and is just now coming back to form, but he is an explosive player on the outside, and he's finally starting to get his quicks back and sort of has taken the lead position now along with Deshaun Jackson of this receiving corps. You haven't seen nearly the rotation of receivers in this game that we've seen in the past few.
Curtis with 4 catches for 50 yards. McNabb, L.J. Smith. L.J. Smith inside the 30 and dragged down by Aaron Francisco at the 27-yard line. Antrell Roll missed a tackle for Arizona.
Nice hot read that time by Donovan McNabb. He saw the blitz coming over here with too many for him to block. So L.J. Smith is simply just going to turn it out here against man coverage, break a tackle, and come up with a big play. Nice read by Donovan. Nice read by L.J. Smith. The Cardinals really with no choice but to try and bring pressure, and Donovan just made him pay for it.
Westbrook grabbed by Dansby after a gain of about 1.5 yards, maybe 2.
Does it look like the Eagles found the fountain of youth or something tonight? I mean, Westbrook's looking better than I've seen him in a while. McNabb obviously looking better than I've seen him in a while. The offensive line, the defensive line. This looks like what I think a lot of people thought of the Eagles, and yet here we go again. Westbrook coming out, and you could see him limping on that leg.
20 carries for 105 yards. Remember how excited offensive coordinator Marty Morningwig was when we saw him on the field? Sounds like Westbrook feels really good.
But that's what it's been. And you talk to Brian, he says, I can't get out of a game healthy.
High throw by McNabb intended for Curtis.
You know, and it's so frustrating because so much of this offense is built around Brian Westbrook. And Morningwig will talk about it. He says, we can't practice all the things that we do. They love taking Westbrook, flanking him out, working the screen game, using him in all these sort of tricky type of formations, but he really hasn't practiced for a month. So what do you do?
Last year, Westbrook had 368 touches, 278 carries for 1,300 yards, and 90 catches.
Chronic knee, a high ankle sprain, and he cannot stay healthy.
McNabb on 3rd down. He's got a lot of room, and he gets tripped up from behind. Darnell Dockett, Pro Bowler from last year.
You know, one of the great things about Donovan McNabb is he has the ability to enjoy himself even when it's maybe everybody else in this crowd doesn't always think it's funny, but this was a race between two big guys here, Dockett and McNabb, and there he was, went down at the last second and
4th down.
enjoying a laugh.
4th down for Philadelphia. Flag had come down, but because McNabb was scrambling and out of the pocket and running with it, you can then put your hands on a receiver downfield. So they picked the flag up. 41-yard attempt for Akers. Snap is good. Akers has it lined up, and he knocks it through. So with 23 seconds to go in the 3rd, Philadelphia now in front 34-13. Donovan McNabb 22 of 31, 223 yards tonight. Well, live Thursday Night Football continues on NFL Network with an AFC West showdown. The Raiders, red hot, came off a big win last week in Denver. They take on the Chargers. Don't miss Thursday Night Football live next Thursday, 8 Eastern on NFL Network. Christian, you take a look at the Oakland Raiders, and when you look at the landscape of the AFC West, which is a big struggle, Denver losing last week to Oakland. Denver has to take on the New York Jets in New York this weekend. San Diego has to host a good running team in Atlanta. And the Oakland Raiders are at home against Kansas City. They can insert themselves in the AFC West race. I know.
I'm going to try and keep a straight face on this one, but they are. Phil Simms was roughing me up earlier because I was saying that the Raiders were back in the hunt. But in that West, and as banged up as the Denver Broncos are, they have 6 wins. But they are going to struggle to get any more out of it. So San Diego's still alive. Even the Raiders still alive. So we'll see next week.
I mean, Jamarcus Russell's coming off a 10 of 11 game. They ran the ball well last week in the win against Denver. They're getting good special teams play. Akers on the kickoff to Arrington. Arrington across the 25 to the 26-yard line. Well, some huge games, Chris, in the NFL this weekend. The Carolina Panthers, who lost in Atlanta last week, now have to go to Lambeau Field to take on the Packers. A big NFC South showdown. Saints and Buccaneers, Giants and Redskins. These are some intriguing matchups.
Yeah, they really are. And for the Green Bay Packers, they need to stay alive because somebody's getting a loss out of this game down here. Those two teams battling for first place, but clearly that's one of those divisions. Looks like it's going to go right down to the wire. And how about Matt Castle this season? Goodness gracious.
Back-to-back 400-yard passing games.
It's just remarkable, and it's quite a tribute to Bill Belichick and his coaching staff up there that they can take a guy that had not started the game since high school and slowly develop him to the point where he looks like one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and he's going to be a free agent at the end of the season.
Pongo Tungafau was the shaken up Arizona Cardinal, who will gingerly walk off the field under his own power. You saw Westbrook, he got nicked up earlier.
And it looked like they were fooling around with Brian Westbrook's toes. Now they're going to tape that up. And I'm a little surprised, you know, maybe you want to get him ready and just in case and all those sorts of things. But, I mean, there's your franchise right there. You've seen tonight what this offense looks like when he's on and when he's healthy. I'm not so sure we'll see him again.
Unless Kurt Warner and the Cardinals can get hot in a hurry. Warner in this football game, 15 of 26, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. On a 1st and 10, Bolden. There's the power of Anquan Bolden, and finally dragged down from behind at the 48-yard line. So the final play of the 3rd quarter goes for 25. The Cardinals will need a lot more of that, trailing 34-13 after 3 quarters of play. Thursday Night Football on NFL Network from Philadelphia.
Exceptional.
Tell me about it.
4 carries for 24 yards. And the Eagles in control 34-13.
And that's Donovan McNabb. That's the same way he was before the game, too, as we have the battling birds, I guess. Why not?
Well, the Cardinals need to battle back from a huge deficit. 1st and 10 for Kurt Warner. Under all kinds of pressure, and he can't get Bolden as Stuart Bradley got through, along with Victor Abiramiri.
Well, we came in talking about how talented these 2 receivers are, and certainly they have put up numbers second to none, especially over the past 5 weeks. But tonight, the Philadelphia Eagles with a great game plan, applying pressure at the line of scrimmage, not allowing Kurt those quick throws that he's known for, and it has thrown the Cardinals off their game.
And Bolden has had 2 drops, including 1 in the end zone. Fitzgerald with a great catch inside the 10. Lito Shepherd beaten, and there are the hands and the strength of Larry Fitzgerald, a gain of 40.
Well, this guy, I think, has as good a hands as I've ever seen in the game, and I'm talking about Jerry Rice, Chris Carter, you name whoever you want to. He just makes circus catch after circus catch. And the thing that he's done to improve his game this season is the run after the catch. He's nearly doubled that, and he works very hard on it in practice.
1st and goal, quick pass to Bolden. Might have been tipped at the line as it sailed over his head.
Maybe. Looked like it just sailed over his head. I'm not sure Anquan Bolden quite understood what Kurt was trying to give him on that one, and he really wasn't looking back. I think Kurt just saw a little gap in the defense and tried to get it to him quickly.
Bolden wasn't ready for it. Arizona offense has been out of sync. Warner again. Fitzgerald, touchdown Arizona. There's the strength and athleticism of Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, Kurt Warner with a delayed count that time did a tremendous job of making the Eagles show blitz. They're going to show everything here, so he knows as long as he can get it out quickly, he's going to have man coverage, zip it in there, big strong receiver, good hands, touchdown Arizona.
Kurt Warner said he adjusts his body while running full stride better than just about anybody he's ever worked with.
He's something special. He really is.
Rackers with the extra point. So Larry Fitzgerald with a couple of touchdown catches. A long way to go still for the Arizona Cardinals. They trail 34-20 here in the 4th.
A lot of time, you're right about that. 14-15 to go in the 4th quarter. So can Arizona make that comeback?
Well, now the offense is starting to click, but can the defense make a stop? That's another question altogether. But Bolden, for whatever reason, is just having troubles tonight. So you can see Warner deciding, well, the guy that's got the safest hands out of the 2 of them is Fitzgerald. Go to the guy with the safe hands. It's just one little slant. Very, very tough to defend that.
Right, and the setup was the correct one to have on back.
Go over the coverages. Rackers has it teed up at the 30. And kick it away. It's a short kick. Demps from his own 15. Demps runs out of a couple tackles. Demps up to the 44-yard line. Well, you take a look at Brian Westbrook, Chris. First NFL player since 1975, 100 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving games in 1 game. Got to go back to Lydell Mitchell and the Baltimore Colts with Burt Jones as quarterback.
I remember Lydell Mitchell. He was some player, but Brian Westbrook has been a guy that over the years has created just about as much excitement for a football team as anyone I know, and they need a little bit. That was a big kick return. I don't think there's any question Arizona can score on the Philadelphia defense. The question is, can Arizona's defense stop this offense? They haven't done it all night.
McNabb under pressure. McNabb throws it away. Pressure by Darnell Dockett. And now Arizona lobbying for another intentional grounding.
I don't think they're going to get it because he was outside the pocket and got it back to the line of scrimmage. Or they are going to get it.
I don't think he was outside the pocket. I think he went straight back, Chris. Now the original line of scrimmage was the 44-yard line.
Intentional grounding. Number 5. Offense. The down counts. And down.
So the 44-yard line was the original line of scrimmage.
All right, well, he looks like he's on the left hash mark. And he gets outside that hash mark.
Well, actually, you know what, Chris? He was on the right hash mark. That's a college hash mark.
Oh, you're exactly right.
That's for when they have college games here. I think that's a pretty good call. Yeah,
close.
You don't agree? Close?
I think it's close. I'll give you close, but I'll give you this. Huge call for Arizona because now not only do they get the down, but they lose, what, 20 yards on the play.
So now it's 2nd and 30. McNabb.
You can have that all day. Thank you very much. Appreciate that 1-yard gain when you need 30. Well, now you're in an interesting situation now. You know, the Eagles defense gave up 24 points in the 4th quarter last week against the Ravens. Already Arizona has taken it down the field in a big hurry and scored. But what you cannot do here is turn the football over.
Right.
You do not take a big chance. Obviously, you're probably going to have to punt the football here. Wouldn't be surprised to see him even hand it off.
Westbrook to the right of McNabb. McNabb will throw. Little screen to Westbrook with some room. Westbrook to the 39, well short of the first down. Stands beyond the tackle.
Well, that was a tremendous series of downs for Arizona's defense. Probably the best of the night, aided by that call. But now this offense, I mean, we have 13 minutes of football left to play with one of the most explosive offenses that hasn't been showing that thus far in this game. But believe me, they can go up and down the field with anybody.
Sav Rocket a punt. Just under 13 minutes to go in the ball game. Good high kick. Preston inside his own 10. Bobbles it. Preston can't wiggle his way out of danger. Does get it back to the 10-yard line. Well, Kurt Warner can air it out. He's down 14, but getting back on the field. Ends Arizona back at their own 10-yard line.
Yeah, but it's go get them time. So whether you're on the 10 or the 20 or the 40, the style of play has to be basically the same now for Kurt Warner.
Hightower in a one-back set. Warner gets hammered, but he gets it off to Bolden, who fumbles the football, and the Eagles have it. Warner got it off to Bolden, who's had the drops tonight, and he coughed it up.
Boy, for Anquan Bolden, this has been a rough night. Kurt Warner is going to get ripped as he lets go of this football, but he does his job, gets it in the hands of his playmaker. And for Anquan Bolden tonight, I have just never seen him have a night like this. And who else? Brian Dawkins with a helmet right on the football once again. the Hall of Famer getting it done. And for Anquan Boldin, such a brave year this year after all the facial surgery coming back. But this has not been his night.
Hakeem Jordan on the recovery, so Philadelphia with a 14-point lead as Westbrook picks up a couple. You mentioned Anquan Boldin earlier this year against the New York Jets. Final seconds of the game, he gets hit by Eric Smith and had to undergo facial surgery, fractured sinus. Talking with some of the Cardinals people, they actually had to sever whatever was left of his jaw that was connected in order to get his bite realigned. They actually took his jaw almost out of his mouth and reset it. And he refused, once he was in recovery, to even take any painkillers. And it came back in 2 games. Unbelievable that Anquan Boldin was able to do that.
Yeah, and it was Kurt Warner who said that after seeing that hit and seeing what happened to him, that he contemplated retirement. So don't ever question the toughness of Anquan Boldin. This has just been one of those nights for him. He has dropped the football. He has fumbled it a couple of times. And Kurt Warner's going to go over, I'm sure, and say, hey, guy, another night.
And Boldin said the doctors were amazed. 3 days later, he's in the weight room, lost about 10 pounds, something that normally takes 6 to 8 weeks to recover from. First and goal for the Eagles. Westbrook has 4 touchdowns. Westbrook picks up a yard to the 5. Travis LeVoy and Darnell Dockett on the tackle.
Yeah, don't expect the Eagles to take any chances at all in this situation, because now if you can take it from a 14-point game to a 17-point game, obviously you are in an awfully good shape. And your kicker, David Akers, has now made 39, I believe it is, field goals in a row from 45 yards or less. So this is almost guaranteed as long as you don't turn it over here.
Westbrook tying a franchise record tonight with 4 touchdowns, 2 running, 2 receiving. McNabb under some pressure, he just throws it away, intended for Brent Selleck, the tight end.
Good job by McNabb, obviously getting rid of the football, and for Anquan Boldin, not much fun. Marty Morningweg's done a tremendous job tonight getting his quarterback back in rhythm again. I thought from the very beginning, you know, moving him out of the pocket, trying to establish a run, some screens, draws, McNabb taking off and running with the football. This was 5 years ago, Donovan McNabb and the Philadelphia Eagles.
3rd and goal from the 5. McNabb with time underneath. McNabb gets the touchdown. Deshaun Jackson. That little extra effort got him in. An offensive explosion for the Eagles on Thanksgiving. The Boldin fumble results in 6 for Philadelphia. How about Deshaun Jackson chest bumping Andy Reid?
I bet you he bounced a little. Good block by Kevin Curtis on the outside to finally get him in the end zone. But Deshaun Jackson, you can see a more prominent role. And I like what the Eagles have done tonight. They put the ball back in the hands of their primary playmakers, Westbrook, Jackson, McNabb, and those guys have gotten it done all night long.
Akers' extra point makes it 41-20 for Deshaun Jackson. 6 catches, 76 yards, and there you go, Coach. I'm a rookie. I'm fired up.
It's a real run for their money.
But they got Warren Sapp on the set. You better guard that pudding pie.
Who would you vote for?
I think Westbrook. I think he's been sensational.
Even with all the controversy surrounding McNabb, the way he handled it? They could split a pie, right?
Split a pie.
Arrington takes it up to the 30-yard line. All right, we'll take a look at Anquan Boldin and the Cardinals, who had a chance to clinch the NFC West with a win tonight. 7-4 coming in, 4-0 in the division. They're going to win the division.
Yeah.
That's one of the safest guesses that you'll have.
Well, and if the 49ers lose tonight, to go along with the fact the Seahawks lost, I think they do actually clinch it backing in. So, you know, it's going to happen eventually. But they certainly, on a night they had a chance to do it themselves, did not want to put on a performance like this. This has been a little embarrassing.
Well, I think more importantly for them too, it's, look at their losses against the better teams in the NFC. As Urban makes the catch, losing at Washington, losing to the Giants, losing to Carolina, probably losing here to the Philadelphia Eagles. And you wonder how viable having to go on the road in the postseason they could be.
There's probably people in Arizona laughing right now saying, we don't care. We're just glad to finally be in the playoffs. It has been quite a dry spell.
Trying to get their first division title in 33 years. They last qualified for the postseason in 1998 as Breston can't reel it in. And that's been one of the odd things about tonight, Chris, is the fact that the amount of drop passes by the Arizona Cardinals, something that they do not do.
Yeah, statistically, I think this team, Arizona, was in the top 3 as far as fewest drop passes, and the Philadelphia Eagles were in the bottom 3 as far as dropping passes, and yet we've seen time after time the Eagles receivers making plays, and not Larry Fitzgerald, but Anquan Bolden and others putting it on the ground.
Wind has not been a factor. It's not ridiculously cold. A good night to play football. Blitz on. Breston gets hammered at the 36-yard line. Quentin Demps, Quentin Michael converged on Breston.
Well, they are coming from deep now. They're coming all the way around here to come up with pressure from the secondary, and actually you'd think this is a pretty good call. You end up with a quick screen to the direction of the blitz, but the Philadelphia Eagles and Sheldon Brown has had a terrific game tonight there to make the play. Boy, you do not want to be in this situation trying to play catch up against Jim Johnson and company.
Yeah, Sheldon Brown with the big hit, 4th and 4. Timeout
Philadelphia.
Cardinals.
That is their first.
/play 60. So the Frankfurt Chargers lead the Eagles out earlier tonight. They were helped by the Play 60 program and the generous donations from you, the fans. Arizona will go for it here on a 4th and 4, down 41-20. Warner with time has it batted down at the line, incomplete. Trent Cole knocked it away.
Well, mission accomplished for the Philadelphia Eagles tonight. They wanted to make Kurt Warner sit in the pocket and pat the ball. Watch him. Usually he pats it once and throws it. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Tries to get it out. Pressure gets close. Can't get it done. I think this has been a tremendous game plan against this Arizona Cardinals team. They've taken away the quick throws. They haven't allowed these receivers to get the ball in their hands where they can catch it and make a run with it. Jim Johnson once again coming up with a scheme to stop one of the NFL's hottest quarterbacks and hottest offenses.
Hey, that wasn't only a multiple pat. That was also a double clutch in there.
It sure was.
Is a double clutch equal 2 pats? Kyle Eckelin, and he'll pick up 2 yards on the play. Dansby on the tackle.
We've talked about Donovan McNabb and what this would mean to him tonight, but how about Andy Reid? I mean, there was some grumbling going on around here about Andy Reid, and when I was interviewing Andy, I was, grilling him about the McNabb benching and why didn't he tell him himself, and then I started getting on him about the run-pass ratio, and he goes, oh, he said, I'm going to fix that tonight. And I said, really? He said, yeah, I'm going the wishbone. I go, what? He said, Thanksgiving, right? So, I mean, you cannot, the guy has something, at least a sense of humor about everything. He's not going to get down. He's been in Philadelphia for 10 years. You can't scare him.
Lorenzo Booker dives inside the 30. The 29-yard line. Of course, Andy Reid, coming into this game, 93 wins, 61 losses, 5 NFC East titles, took the team to the Super Bowl. His reign here has been fantastic. Now, maybe they have won more? They lost some of those conference championship games at home. Could they have won a Super Bowl? Yeah, you can make that case. But when you look at the overall program and what they've built here, it's pretty impressive.
The hard part is for any coach is 10 years in the same city is a long time because fans have long memories and they tend to drag up your worst moments, which after 10 years, they can be pretty extensive.
Lorenzo Booker extends the drive. He gets the first down. And that'll head some fans to the exit here at Lincoln Financial Field, but they came to see what they wanted to see, and that's a well-played game by the Eagles with 7:23 to go. And Philadelphia in front 41-20.
And I'll just say this. It's not over for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, this is a team fully capable of going on a streak and getting in the playoffs. Remember, 2 of the last 3 years, we've seen a team come out of the wild card slot to win the Super Bowl. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it as a 6 seed. The Giants did it as a 5 seed, I believe it was, out of the wild card. So a late run can often propel teams.
Kyle Eckel to the 10. Another first down for Philadelphia. Last year with New England, he had 90 carries. 33 carries for 90 yards. He picks up 14 there.
You know, I like Kyle Eckel. I thought one of the big plays of the game was when he picked up that first down on a 3rd and 1 that has been the Achilles heel of this Eagles team all night. But look for him fighting yardage in there. That's pretty impressive. That's an element they really haven't had on this team. Wow.
176 yards on the ground, 5.3 a pop. You know, we talked about the Eagles, and you mentioned about, you know, the wild card and what teams have done over the last couple of years as Eckel picks up a couple. But, you know, you look at the numbers here, Chris, on their way to 6-5-1. They've got to get to 10-5-1 to be included in the conversation, because I think that you need 10 for a wild card in the NFC.
Yeah, but I'll say this, though, that the one thing about the Philadelphia Eagles is that they can stop the run better than they have in a long time, averaging under 3.5 yards per carry. And you have to go back to 1991 to find a Philadelphia Eagles defense that could stop the run at that pace. So when you're playing the Redskins, when you're playing the New York Giants, that's the formula. You have to be able to stop the run, so at least they have a chance.
2nd and goal. McNabb with Selleck over his head and incomplete. Adrian Wilson on the coverage.
And again, you're going to hear a few squawks. He's not accurate. He didn't throw that one in there. In reality, what it was, Donovan, if it's not a clean look, if it's not wide open, just overthrow it. We'll take another shot, take a little more time off the clock.
Now, his guys have made some plays for him tonight. Curtis, a couple nice catches. Basket along the sideline. Dove laid out, made a catch for him.
You know, it was interesting in talking to Donovan about, you know, I go, what were you thinking over there on the sideline when you got benched last week for Kevin Cobb? I mean, here you are, you're benched essentially for throwing interceptions, and yet historically you're number 2 in National Football League history as far as not throwing interceptions.
On 3rd and goal, does he have another one? Yes, Jason Avant. Chris, no interceptions, just touchdowns tonight.
This works.
4th touchdown pass for McNabb.
And you can just see his confidence grow. And I think to some extent, when he got out and got involved in the game and was running the football early on in this one, it was just like everything started feeling like it did a while ago. And he has been impressive tonight, no question.
Saw Avant extend the ball just enough to break the plane right before his knee hit the ground. So Jason Avant with his 2nd touchdown catch of the season, 4th from McNabb tonight as far as touchdown passes. Philadelphia with a season-high 48 points. Lead it 48-20 with 5:19 to go.
Can I go through the list of things that we were talking about the Philadelphia Eagles coming into this game?
Sure.
I mean, let's talk about it. McNabb was benched, and he's playing horribly. Westbrook is dinged up, and he can't run the way that he used to be able to do. The wide receivers are dropping more balls than anybody. The 2 tackles can't protect, and yet what's happened tonight? The tackles in this offensive line have dominated. Westbrook's looked better than he has in a long time. Donovan McNabb has been sensational, and the receivers have been catching everything that's been thrown to him.
So the birthday boy, John Runyon, he's had a very good night. And then, you know, you look at defensively, couple of picks. Ocelio Hansen, Quentin Michael early in the ball game. You know, the Cardinals averaged almost 391 yards a game as an offense. Right now they have 251 yards. They've been all over the place.
Yeah, and Arizona's going to go home and say we beat ourselves, because of the early interceptions, because of the early drops, because of the fumbles. They really didn't give themselves a chance in this football game. But defensively, they have to be better than this. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles aren't exactly an offensive juggernaut, and now they put up 48.
I would maybe disagree a little bit with them if that was their assessment. I think the Eagles beat them in every which way as Arrington takes it across the 30. I mean, they've made all of the plays. Philadelphia has taken advantage of every opportunity, and they've converted on third downs. They've played good defense. There's the puddin' pie coming up on the Home Depot post-game show. McNabb one-on-one, highlights of the Cowboys and Titans, and the second annual puddin' pie. What kind of pie is that?
I was looking all over to see if Warren had maybe taken a swipe with his finger through the thing, but I didn't see it.
Rich Eisen will give you all the details on the history of the puddin' pie. Arrington on a run. But would you kind of agree with the Cardinals that they lost?
Oh, no. I mean, they certainly, the two Kurt Warner interceptions early just completely turned this game around, and certainly Donovan McNabb got hot and took advantage of it. But this has been a whooping. This is old-fashioned NFC East. I'm bigger, I'm badder than what you guys are, and they have just taken it to the Arizona Cardinals from the very beginning.
The West Coast team's about to go to 0-15 when playing in the Eastern time zone. Warner, Arrington dropped it. I want to again welcome those fans joining us on NFL.com to NFL Network Thursday Night Football. A reminder, you can log on to NFL.com/live now. Enhanced coverage of tonight's game. Happy Thanksgiving to all logging on. Kurt Warner's streak of consecutive 300-yard passing games in jeopardy. He's at 235. He's got 5 in a row. The NFL record is 6, held by Steve Young, Kurt Warner. And Rich Gannon. And he's not able to complete the pass play to Anquan Bolden. Quentin Demps on the coverage.
And really, you can't say enough about what this secondary has done. Remember, their best player, their big multi-million-dollar free agent, Asante Samuel, not playing in this one. But I thought Joselio Hansen has been sensational, as has Sheldon Brown. And Quentin Demps coming in there and playing that slot corner has been terrific tonight. They have shut down this high-flying passing game.
Arizona will go for it on 4th and 1. Warner looking for Urban, intercepted by Brian Dawkins. His first pick of the year, and he's run out of bounds at the Arizona 45-yard line. 3rd interception by Warner, and the second forced turnover by Brian Dawkins, who forced the fumble earlier and now gets the pick.
Oh, by the way, did I mention Brian Dawkins? Check him out right here. He sees Kurt Warner looking right all the way. He breaks early, and it's going to be no contest. Easy pick for Brian Dawkins, the veteran, who once again has come up with huge plays in this one.
He's just tied Eric Allen and Bill Bradley with his 34th career interception. Well, I wonder if we're going to see Kevin Cobb. And we're seeing him, but in the role that Donovan McNabb and Eagle fans probably want to see him, up 48-20.
Yeah, this is a little different than it was last week.
Is it off for Kyle Eckel, who bounces his way for 5 yards?
And didn't you think it was a little bizarre, just the whole concept of, typically when coaches make quarterbacking changes and they want to work in one of their younger players, you end up putting him in a soft spot. Well, how about in a 10-7 game on the road against the Baltimore Ravens defense? That's a bit nightmarish there, and the result showed it.
Saw McNabb's numbers. Spectacular tonight. And he threw in 24 yards rushing. Cobb taken in the 2nd round last year from the University of Houston. 2nd and 5. Lorenzo Booker about a half-yard short of the first down. 3:23 to go.
I know the politically correct thing to do here is to run out the clock. But if I were the coach, and you know me, I'm a little bit of a jerk anyway, but I would give this kid a chance to throw the football. I mean, how many opportunities is he going to have to come in a game in live action with your starting offense and work? And he doesn't need to practice handing it off. He needs as much experience throwing the football as he possibly can. And I know that upsets people when you're running up the score and all that kind of stuff, but it's really not that. It's an opportunity to develop the heir apparent.
Philadelphia on 3rd down, 6 of 6 on 3 yards or less. Eckel near the 1st down marker. He hit the big 3rd and 1 on their first drive. And he gets another 3rd and 1. Maybe that was the answer to their entire season. Kyle Eckel. Remember they had Dorsey Levens? They used to have at least one big back to kind of move the chains.
Yeah, and I guess maybe they thought Krell Buckhalter was going to be that. But I tell you, Eckel to me has a very definite role on this football team. And if he can just pick up 1 yard, we've documented it before. This is a team that may well have had 8 or 9 wins at this point if they could pick up 1 yard at various points in the season.
Well, the Eagles will take it down to the 2-minute warning in total control. They've had a feast on this Thanksgiving night.
And none of that was there.
Picked off 3 times tonight, talking with Matt Leinart.
You know, Matt Leinart was none too happy when he lost his job, and basically the message that came from the organization was, you know what, you're not getting beat out by just any Joe here. This is Kurt Warner. This is the 2-time MVP. Maybe instead of complaining about it, you should watch how he prepares. Watch what he does to get ready for the football game. And there's no question that this has made Matt Leinart mature a little bit, and I think he needed that. They've said that he has clearly come to work with a different disposition, and the fact that Kurt Warner's had so much success with the amount of preparation that he does, they think ultimately that's going to rub off on Matt and really going to help him.
Cobb takes a knee on 1st down. Cardinals do not use any of their timeouts. They just want to get home. They'll take another knee. All right, so the Cardinals lose another one of these defining games, and they'll fall to 7-5. Take a look at their remaining schedule. Chris, depending on what Carolina does and Tampa, I mean, they still have a shot to get the number 2 seed, but tonight would have been a little bit more defining had they been able to lock up the division and get this win on the road.
Yeah, but they're going to have a home playoff game no matter what. But you're right, trying to get the number 2 seed is so key. Obviously a tough shot there against the Patriots in New England, but the other 3 games at home. So they still are in the hunt because that NFC South, those teams are going to knock each other off on any given week.
A disappointment for Ken Whisenhunt, who's really gotten this program headed in the right direction. But Andy Reid, after a week of turmoil with the benching of Donovan McNabb, his team took that little step back and then the big step forward tonight, Chris.
Excellent ball game by the Philadelphia Eagles on both sides. Donovan McNabb stands up to the crowd for his team and plays superb football. Kurt Warner, tough day for him and the Arizona Cardinals. They still have to get that victory to win the division.